Right, people of the interweb, painters and decorators, DIYers, amateurs, gardeners, window cleaners, anybody who wants to know about putting up coving, I'm your man today. What we've got a clear room, bare plaster. We're going to put some gyprock stroke Knauf plaster, paper coated plaster coving up. So what we're going to do, the room measured 3.6 by 3.6. You buy this coving, it's 127 millimeters size, not the 100, 127, and it comes in 3 meter lengths. So obviously, do the maths, 3 meters isn't going to go into 3.6. So we're going to use two pieces, but we're going to cut them, we're going to join them, and then we're going to come into angles. We're going to do externals because we've got a chimney breast there, you see, coming back. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So for now, this is just the introduction into doing paper wrapped coving. We call it gyprock coving in the trade, but there's different brands. This is from Wicks. This is Wicks in the UK. Gyprock make it, and obviously other companies do as well. But how we go about approaching this, we've done loads of this, so we know what we're doing. If you get waterproof tile adhesive, use that as your adhesive to stick it up against the wall and the ceiling. Get some little nails, about inch and a half long. Have we got one there? Yeah. Some little nails with we call them ring shank nails. They're not a big head, and every so often we put a nail in. Use a nail punch, just knock them, countersink them under the surface. Then once all the coving's up and it's dry, just go around filling them up. Sand them down after it's all dried, and then we paint over it. Now, when you're going to say, Phil, what paint do you paint over coving? I know it can be emulsion paint or anything like that, but we do find that if you use an acrylic based undercoat primer as your first coat onto that bare plaster paper wrap coving, it does give it a nice base for doing your emulsion over the top. So for now, I'm going to stop. We're going to get some lengths cut. I'll get a piece up, and then we'll come back and rejoin the video and the progression on what this room is. So dead easy for you. Waterproof tile adhesive, your adhesive already made up. The idea is just, well, we don't because we know what we're doing. But if you measure from the ceiling, oh, come towards me. If you measure from the ceiling down with a ruler, it measures up at 8.3 centimeters, 83 millimeters. If you measure down from the ceiling and make a mark, that is your line that you hang your fit your coving to. Obviously, ceilings aren't going to run true, so we know it's going to be here, there, and everywhere. That's why when we do it, we feel it. There's two of us doing it because it's easier to do it with two. We feel where it needs to be, and we'll get it into the angle. But when we come to do a piece, get it on. I'll come back to you, and then we'll talk it all the way through, because we're going to cut some now, and then we'll get it up, and then you can see it how it progresses. So bye for now, see you in a few minutes. Well, you can see what I've done here, because we're going to cross all the way across the top. This is a 3 meter length, so it's always best to do a mitre cut when you're joining up lengths. Don't do a straight cut, have a mitre cut. So make sure you've got your 45 degree. That's there, and now we're going to cut an internal. If you follow, just stop there, if you follow the actual line of the template, that will give you the angle cut you want. So if you can see my dad, what he's doing now is following the line. You see that? Following the line of the template. And then what we do, we have a piece of sandpaper in a pocket, normally. Yeah, hold on. We just sand off that edge so it's not furry. Now this is the angle that goes into the corner. The angle over there will be joining up against another piece up there. So we'll stop now, and then we'll come back to you. So here we are, we've got the Bostik showerproof non-slip tile adhesive. This is ideal for fitting up coving. So my dad can just show you quickly what we're going to do. Get a putty knife, and you smear it across that back edge. Put enough on that when it beds up against the ceiling, it'll ooze out across the top. So there you can see what we're doing now. and you do that all the way along. This is a longer length, we've got 2 pairs of steps to support it. Just be mindful in the middle that it's bowing, you don't want to put too much pressure on it. And you can see this goes up against the ceiling, that goes up against the wall. So job's a good one. Alright, back with you in a bit.
Down to as deep as that.
I'm at 83 there.
Seems all over the place.
Cables on. See there, the ceiling's actually all over the place. It's not measuring up at 83mm down, you've just got to adjust it to fit nicely. So we've just got, what, just over about half a dozen little nails holding it all in place. And now what we're going to do is fill up. So, again, with your tile adhesive on a scraper, this is a 3-inch scraper, putty knife, apply it into the top edge, smooth it off. Now what you can do is get a wet brush and just smooth it off if you want, but we don't like to do that because it seems to dry and push it into the cavity. We want it to keep on the surface nice and flat, and if it keeps on the surface nice and flat, then when it's dry tomorrow we can just rub it down nicely. Once it's got a coat of paint on it, if you need to think that it needs some more filling, you can do. So you'll see me up here, I'll go over there, you see the internal, you see up there, we've got an internal cut up there, yeah, and that's where you'll join up the next piece. So let me get some filling up done. show you what I've done, what my dad's doing there. Dad loves putting this up, ever so quick at it. Can you see there, let's zoom in, it's filled up from it being like that, come on, the gap, see what we're doing, we're applying it underneath and then smoothing it off, and the putty knives are really good at doing this. Better than a scraper. And then where the, let's get the focus, where the nail heads are, just put enough filler on it to go over the surface, let that dry, that sands off, and again all across that top edge is nice and smooth. When that's dry tomorrow, just run a bit of sandpaper over it. Now this internal angle there, we'll do an external cut on the next piece that then goes up against that, put some adhesive across there, and obviously that's an internal angle down there, and you're doing an internal, so there'll be an internal there and an external cut there which will nicely meet up against there. But can you just see what we've done? Just got that underside to do there now. So that's your first length. We'll crack on, do a few more, but the basic principle is there for you. Filling up, nailing it, just hold it in place, and then internals and externals, and we'll come on to that in a minute. So bye bye. So back with you, just done an external cut. So if you can see that, that's how the piece was. I put the template against it, cut against the template, that comes away, that gives me an external. If this was another piece, that would then be an internal. You get it? Internal, external. Just sand that edge off so it's not furry, and then that edge will go up against that there, and then that corner there gets an internal, which what you do is obviously measure your distance across so you know where it needs to be, well, where it needs to be cut like that, and that'll be an internal there. So depending on if you're using the left hand side or right hand side, depends whether you're using it as an internal or an external, but you'll get it once it's all up there. So good. Now you can see that this piece that we cut measured up at 660, but I allowed for the tolerance of cutting the gap there, so I left it at 655 millimeters, which has given us a nice angle into the corner. And you can see where I've done that external that goes up against the internal. That's ideal. Now when you do a joint like that, it's a lot easier to fill and smooth out than trying to do a butt joint of coving, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. That's where amateurs and even professionals don't really understand how to join coving when you've got extra length. So an internal to an external, i.e. a mitre joint like that's a lot better. And you can see what the pops is doing, it's just filling it nicely, and then away we go for another internal, going the 3 meters all the way down to a straightforward internal there. So are we all following it so far? I think we are. Thank you very much. Oh, we've lost the focus, come on. Back there. So yeah, that's what we are now. 2 pieces, 3.6 meters long on the wall, using a 3 meter length, and then a 600 mil, well, 635. You can see what we've done. We've got one nail in at the top, one in the side just to hold it, and then we'll fill that joint nice. See you on the next one. Right, I'll come back with you because we've done most of the room and we've come to an external, which is a tricky one, so I thought I'd just show you how you do an external. Now this is around the chimney breast. You can see that we've gone into the angle with an internal. The angles run out because obviously that template's cutting at 45 degrees and you can't guarantee that rooms are going to be at 45 degrees, so you just have to run with it. If you were using proper plaster coving, what I'd normally do is offer up the length to the piece that you want to be cutting, both sides, mark it with a pencil so I can actually get the correct angle, then offer the piece of coving back up, mark the coving with a pencil where the two crosses of the pencils meet. Yeah, it sounds complicated, but you'd understand it. You just overlap it and then find the angle. That would give you the proper angle for a cut if the walls are running out. We're not doing that, we're just cutting it as it is, making it simple like you'd be doing it, just using one of those little mitre templates. Now I've measured it and cut it for an external. There's the external, there's the internal. Now that offers up nicely into there, but that angle there you can see runs out. So what I've done, I've got a Stanley blade, snap off blade, and I've trimmed, you can see I've trimmed the back edge corner, can you see that there, back edge corner off, just to allow it to go nicely, just nicely into there. Now the angle runs out, so there's a bit of backfilling which we can do. That's not a problem. A blind man on a galloping horse won't see it when we've finished. So as we are at the moment, that is a lovely external angle across this chimney breast first return. So that will be then filled up. We'll put a couple of nails in just to hold it. So by the time it's got the adhesive on the back, that goes in flush nicely. And what I'll do, I'll stop the camera, I'll let my dad put that up and I'll film him doing it so you can actually see it being done. So see you in a bit. So here we are back putting the external angle on. Let's try and get some close-up shots. Just lining it up. Always put a bit of adhesive on the back edges of the angles that you're going to be butting up against. Yeah, the angle will be running out. That's the 45 degree. We'll see what it's like when we come to put the face piece on. Can only go with how the cut is. So that's in place. Just put a couple of nails in just to hold it. Once the nails in, just get some adhesive around the top and the bottom. Again, using a putty knife is ideal on the flat side. Cleaning the sealing off and the face of the coving as you go, so you don't leave loads of adhesive over the surface, because you've only got to rub it down. And then where the angle runs out slightly, because it's not 45, you can make good. Now what we'll do, we'll put a little bit of adhesive at the back. When that's dried off tomorrow, then we'll go around with some filler and neaten it all up. Now it's ideal to actually do your final filling after you've got a primer coat on with anything. There you go. So that's nearly up. Filling the angle, and as I say, they're not going to be true 45s. You've just got to make the best job out of it. So there we are, nearly there, look. Now, something to be wary of when you come to put nails in the walls, don't forget where sockets are on possible wires. We haven't had any problems like that, but this external wall, see the van, was like solid concrete. You couldn't actually get any nails into the wall, but you could into the ceiling. So what we did, we put some nails into the wall as far as we could go, and then we pulled them out once it had gone off and set. So that's where we are. There's another angle that we're just making up. Let's see. I'll come back when we get the next fence on. So since I've seen you last, we've put that top length on across the chimney breast. Just measure the distance from one side to the other. You're going off the bottom edge. So your bottom edge, oh, I'm losing you. Bottom edge there. we're coming back. Oh, let's go. Bottom edge there, all the way down to there. So 2 external angles, which I've shown you how to do the internals and externals. 2 external angles, just goes on there. 5 nails, 6 nails, just going all the way across it. And we've done it like that because if there is any tolerance where it just needs adjusting, we're going to lose it in that angle there. But as it is, the bottom edge of the piece up here is coming in nicely to match that there, so it's not running out too bad. You could see when you were putting up the coving, and when you use your fist, just not too hard, just bang it into the wall so the adhesive oozes through the joint. You could feel it, the ceiling and the walls were slightly out, but not to worry. And as I've said on the last section, the 45-degree angles, they're not 45 degrees when you come to do the actual angle for cutting, which doesn't matter. It means you just do a bit of filling. Once that's sanded down, it's going to be good. So where we are now, we're just going to put that piece in. I'll come back to you when I've done it and just do a quick roundup. See you in a minute. Right, we're done. 2 of us. Let's have a look at this. Just putting the last finishing bits of the adhesive, filling up the top and bottom angle and the internal angle. The external angle cut was lovely. It would be because I've done it. And that's finished off the room. And how good a room does it make it? Coving all the way around. We'll say a good day's work, shall we? And all we do now is leave it to dry, come back, lightly sand the top and bottom edge, sand where the nail heads have been, and then you can get on with your painting. And as I said previously, you can use what you want for painting over it, but we always like to put a coat of acrylic primer over it, which obliterates that grey colour. But if you've got some contract matte or something like that that's equally as good, you can use that. It's entirely up to you. And then finish the ceiling in the finishing material of your choice. But for now, we're really happy with that. Any final filling, we use some packet filler and just go around and just finish it all off. The nail heads might sink. Also the angles just probably will want to neaten up because this is tile adhesive and not a filler. So that will just want sanding back down. Use your putty knife and some tools, whatever you want to use to shape the angle to make it a nice sharp edge. And again with these mitre joints, sand those back, and if they just need a second fill you can do. But it's nice to second fill after you've put a coat of primer over it. So all in all, it's a good job done. Quite pleased how that's come out. The customer will be happy. So let's call it a day. Hope you've understood. Hope you've understood how I've tried to explain it. If there's any questions, comments, press the bell, subscribe. And it's over and out, and I'll see you on the next one where we're probably talking about painting or something else really riveting and interesting. So bye bye.